Christian. Mhm. Hello, Barbara.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. How many folks are on this call or went to Barry Roubaix this weekend, do you think?
Oh, I don't know. I would think quite a few went to Barry.
Yeah. It was a great day. Holy moly. Yeah, they had almost 5,000 riders.
I'll believe it.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Just a great day. A shock to the system though, because we've had that sort of cool weather and then bang, 80 degrees and dusty, and there's no way to train for that. Bunch of Canadians came down and they were bright red when they were done.
Michael, I saw you at Belgian Waffle in Arizona last month. Was it last month? Last month,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Like
What did you think of that one?
It was definitely not quote unquote a gravel race. It was more single track up a mountain.
Yeah, I went out to that first aid station, kind of up the power lines there. And it was, at least just from my standpoint, not riding a bike, it looked fantastic. But I like that sort of swoopy single track. And it was almost like a roller coaster in spots. It was just, was it pretty technical?
Yeah.
Was it a lot of rocks?
There was just not a lot. Once you were climbing up the mountain, there just wasn't a lot of, like, there's no guardrails. So you have to be, if they weren't walking, they were able to ride it. But so many were walking up or down because they couldn't maneuver the bikes.
Really?
Yeah. But it was fantastic. I mean, the views were phenomenal.
Great for pictures, I'll tell you that.
Right?
all my social media people were really happy with me after that event.
I was surprised to see you, not Infinit, but you out there. I thought that was pretty cool.
I love going to events. It doesn't take me much to go. I do pick and choose. It's not like I'm going to be really keying in on going to New Jersey for a race. But yeah, there are certain races that I really just enjoy. And plus I know a lot of people, and it's at this point, we've been doing it for so long that, I see people, and I saw like Matty Frankstad, and I've known him for 15 years now, probably.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know who Matty Frank is?
Mm-hmm.
Maddie's she's a Michigan girl. We picked her up when she was 15, and she rides for a university team. She's an incredible rider. She's fantastic. And she's going to be riding for Michigan, or she's going back to grad school for Michigan State next year.
Mm-hmm.
And her dad's big into the gravel mountain bike scene just in that whole area. So I've known, those people for a long time.
Yeah, Barry Roubaix was packed this past weekend. I've never seen that many people there.
Yeah. The rollout took about 15 minutes to get them all across. It was like the Boston Marathon. I was like, wow. On your mark, get set, wait.
Always. And eat everybody's dust.
Oh, that's the other thing. Everybody was saying it was so dusty.
Mm-hmm. You know, in Arizona, I took like the bandana around my neck for the dust. Wasn't thinking here in Michigan I would need it.
Mm-hmm. I almost want you to make the break. Almost makes you want to bring the mask back, right?
Exactly.
I'm kidding. I'm
No,
kidding.
I know you are.
Okay. So, what do you guys want to talk about? I do talk about certain things, but I'd really be interested to know just from the group as far as what you're training for, any issues, questions, that kind of stuff. I'd really love to hear if there's any stuff you want me to go over.
I know for Molly, Trish, and Barb, they're fueling for their full Ironmans closer to the end of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Dawn, are you doing a full? Dawn's also USAT coach, also, but I don't know. Well, are you doing a full this year or just halves?
Yeah, I'm doing a full. I'm doing Cozumel.
Oh,
So
there you go.
That sounds awesome.
Right? In November, it'll be a great time to leave Michigan.
Yeah. As long as you can get some heat training in the meantime, right?
Yeah, I'll be hitting up the sauna for sure.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's awesome.
And I used Infinit for my half in North Carolina last year. It worked really well for me. The only thing I got to figure out is carrying it for the run.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the biggest hurdle, is carrying it for the run, because I hate to carry stuff.
Yeah, I know.
So,
You know, it was interesting. I had a pro tell me this. I forget who it was, but and it may be Andy Potts, but what he said he does is after the bike, he has a bottle ready to go and transition onto the run, and he gets a whole bottle down him before he exits the transition area. And I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I did 10 Ironman and I had one good race. This is before we got into Infinit. Okay. So I can't blame Infinit, but the one race that I had, it was Ironman Canada, and I got a 4-minute drafting penalty, and it was not a drafting penalty. Okay, I wasn't drafting. I just want to let everybody know that. I was talking to a French guy on this beautiful purple Trek bike. It was sort of purple and gold, and I was trying to say, "Hey, man, nice bike," and he was French, and he didn't understand a word that I was saying, and so I got a side-by-side drafting call. So just I want that clear. But I had a 4-minute penalty, and the thing it taught me was there was a sin bin, and so this is old days where you go in and I could eat and I could drink, and I drank a bunch, and I got some food down me, and that I just smoked the run after that. And I think that if you can take the extra 60 seconds to get something down in transition, that's a really good tip. I use a fuel belt. I know there's not a whole bunch of women that really dig running with fuel belts, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's more they end up right under your rib cage, you know, it's a shape thing. And I don't know how you'd solve that issue other than doing a fuel belt thong, and I don't know if that would work very well.
No, thank you. No, thank you. That sounds miserable.
I trained with a hydration vest, and I'm doing Cozumel as well as Dawn, and I just don't want to have a vest on with the heat in Cozumel too.
Yeah. So however you do it. So if you get down a bottle heading out, and then soft flasks are not bad. We have soft flasks that are 12-ounce flasks, and you can mix a concentrate of your run mix. And traditionally with Infinit, you have a bike mix and you have a run mix with Ironman anyway. Then you have your run mix in concentrate, and at 12 ounce, you probably could get 600 to 700 calories in one of those and mix in super high concentrate. So you're just basically filling the whole thing up to the very top with powder, add water, and shake it up, and you've got a concentrate. And then when you're rolling through the aid stations, you can either squirt it in the cold ice water, which works really well because then it's cold and it's salty, and that sort of tastes good. Or you can just take a shot in your mouth and then pound it down with water. Either of those two methods work. If you had 2 of those soft flasks, which you can tuck in your shorts relatively comfortably in the back, and that's something you may want to do a little bit of training with just on your long runs leading up to the race. We have them in stock. They're great looking, and they're not that expensive. And if you got 3 or 4 of those and just train with them, then you start with 2, have 2 more on special needs. That's going to get you most of the way home. It should. I mean, if you've got 700, if you're starting off the run with 250 calories and 20 ounces, and then you've got, roughly 800-ish calories per bottle at 1,600 calories, it's 3,200 calories per marathon. That's actually a pretty solid number, even if you're consuming a lot. Like in Hawaii, some days you don't need that many calories, but there's some days that you need calories and everything's working, and so you don't want to ever run out. In theory, you should be able to do a 4-hour marathon at about 250 calories an hour. So that's 1,000, 1,500 calories. But if you're blowing through it and your body's processing, it's really nice to have 2,000-3,000 calories there at your hand, right? If everything's working right. So between, hitting the bottle to start and then those soft flasks, that's really a pretty decent plan, as long as you can just get used to having a, little soft flask in your waist belt.
So sorry, I can't start my video without closing the app and logging back on. So this is Barb.
Hi, Barb.
Hi. When I did Lake Placid last year, the heat was just ridiculous. It hit 100 degrees on the bike, and my Infinit was so warm I couldn't stomach it. Same thing happened this last Saturday. It was an 80-mile bike ride. I had 70-mile bike ride. I had 3 bottles on my bike, and I got to the point where it's warm and I'm struggling to get it down. Can I freeze it the night before? Is it going to alter the nutrition? Is that okay to freeze it? Not that I can probably do that every time, but I'm struggling to get it down, and it's warm. I even had insulated bottles on Saturday, and it still gets warm, and I get to that point where it's just hard to keep drinking it.
I understand. Yeah, no, it's not a problem to freeze it. Chemically, it's not going to do anything to it. So that's no worries with that. And then if you freeze it with the top off and then put the top on in the morning and throw that on your bike, there's no problem with that. Infinit traditionally, because we're saltier product than most of the other products on the market, we tend to do fare better in the heat. So when our stuff gets warm, it should be more drinkable than all the other sweet stuff. Because when sweet stuff is warm, it's pretty nasty. But we can take chicken soup during a marathon when it's 100 degrees and it's delicious. So salt is really the thing that makes things palatable long into the day. I can't take any kind of gel past 9 hours. It ain't happening because they're way too sweet. Even the unflavored hammer gels they just cloyingly sweet, and I will gag all day long on those things. So I have to have salt, and salty stuff is what really works for me late in the race. So Infinit traditionally is saltier. You may want to, just as a thought, back down the flavor just a hair because if it's getting warm and it's getting too warmy sweet for you, you may do better with the flavor down just a little bit.
That's funny because I think I'm all the way down. I think my flavor is as low as it can go despite taking flavor out completely.
Sure. No, that's a natural. Everybody, it seems like most of our customers, they start at kind of the medium level and they always are like, it goes down to the very bottom. It's funny. How's the salt? How much salt do you have in your stuff?
I'd have to grab it and look. I feel like I have quite a bit. Right.
Well, the one thing, have you done a consult?
It's been a while, probably. Well, I tweaked it last year and I got it to where I wanted it, but it's been since last year since I've talked to anyone.
Do a consult. The other thing is change the flavor. That's the other thing. I do the orange all the time, and if I get bored on it, just flipping it to a completely different flavor changes your world. It's a little weird how that works, but it's true.
My sodium's at 17%.
What's this actual mg? How many milligrams?
403.
Yeah, that's higher for a female athlete, but it's not super high.
Okay, I'm a sweater.
Wetter. She's a mutter.
My husband's shaking his head no, like I'm not a sweater. Not compared to him, I'm not, I guess.
There's sweaters and there's puddles.
He's
There's
a puddler.
He's a puddler.
He's
That's
new
fun.
confident thing. He needs to call and get started. So
Yeah, honestly, the easiest thing to do, if any of you guys need a formula or something, just go to the website, schedule a consult, either Colin or Christian, who is on the line right now, and he's kind of the point person for Infinit for any club relationship. So if you guys ever need something, Christian could definitely help out. But if you go do a consult, we'll call you and just do it. It's just easy because we're going to ask questions about sweat rate, history of muscle cramping, what kind of racing that you're doing, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and they're really good about putting mixes together. So if you have any questions or need a formula, that's really the best way to take care of it. And we also have really good recovery stuff. That's probably the fastest growing part of the business, which is the custom protein side. Recovery is super important, especially when you're going long. If you take care of your recovery, you'll have a better training day the next day. And if you have a better training days and you start sequencing them one after another, you're going to get fitter faster if you take care of your recovery. It's a pain in the butt. I get it. We're all busy. We all have jobs, kids, responsibilities. But when you get done with your workout, take care of yourself and make sure that you're getting down at least 20 grams of protein. It's key. To really just making sure that you're able to, go hard the next day. And that's what you're trying to do. So it's a combination of glucose and 20 grams of protein. Our protein products are fantastic, pretty much up and down. So that's a real important thing. If you don't have a recovery drink made, at least get something down you after, right? A Coke is going to be better than nothing. So just make sure that you're just getting some calories down you, and if you can, especially get 20 grams of protein on your recovery. That's going to help you a lot. A couple other things to think about for especially long course racing is that there's just 2 data points that and I'm sure you guys inside of the club probably work on this stuff together. But number one is know how much you sweat on an hourly basis. It's just a super key thing. And I kind of do this talk all over the place, and 90% of the people have no idea how much they sweat. I'm, thinking, well, if you don't know how much you sweat, you don't know how much you should be drinking. And it's a little bit like operating your car with no gas gauge. I mean, it may work, but it may be a problem. So a pretty simple way to kind of get a handle on that is before you do any workout, an hour or longer, empty your bladder, weigh yourself, generally, weigh yourself with no clothes on, just write the weight down, go do your workout. When you come back, and make sure you record how much you drank while you're out there. Come back, reweigh yourself. You've probably lost a little bit of weight. If you just take the amount of weight that you lost and add to it how much you drank, and divide by the number of hours that you were out there, that's going to give you a fluid ounce total of how much you're sweating on an hourly basis. If you lose 2 to 3 pounds, as far as, body weight goes, you can lose up to 10% watts on the bike. It's a pretty massive number when you start getting dehydrated as far as what can actually happen to you physiologically. So it's an important thing to do. My sweat rate somewhere around 28 to 30 ounces. For the bike, the way I race is I have 24-ounce bottles of my custom Infinit mix on the bike. I have 3 of them to start. That's 3 hours worth of my calories and all my salt in those bottles. I'll drink 1 bottle of those an hour. That's 24 ounces. And then I'll supplement with water off of the aid stations. Just grab a bottle that's going through, hit your mouth, get 4, 5, 6 ounces, dump it on your head, throw the bottle, and then keep on rolling. So I do that. I'm getting a bottle an hour down me. I pick up 3 more at special needs. That's my nutrition for the bike. There are a lot of folks that mix concentrate, so you can put 2 hours in a bottle and have all your calories in 3 bottles, and then you don't have to screw around with special needs. I really think it's a good idea to have, just be redundant and keep things as simple as you can. When you start concentrating things, it adds a layer of complexity into your day. We're Ironman athletes. We're not probably the smartest people because of the sport that we do. And as soon as you start racing, everybody loses IQ points every time. So the simpler your plan is, and make it a no-brainer. For me, no-brainers, drink a bottle an hour and then have a little bit of water. It's really tough to screw that up. Having to drink a half a bottle every hour just adds a layer of complexity into your day. And the simpler generally you can keep things, the better you perform. So 28 to 30 ounces is my number. You figure out your number and then you can adjust from there. So if you're 24 ounces and you've got a 24-ounce bottle, you're pretty good to go. Maybe you supplement with a little extra water to rinse your mouth out, but that's your day. The second number is the calorie number. Hopefully you have a decent idea. The way that we do things, and this is a pretty basic way of doing it, but we do 2 calories per pound of lean body weight. So, you're just going to net out let's say, for example, I'm 175 pounds and I'm 12% body fat. That roughly puts me at 150 pounds lean times 2, 300 calories an hour. That's a really good starting point for me. Now, you may want to play with it and find out if you can process a few more calories than that. And you may perform a little bit better with more than that numbers, but that's something you have to kind of figure out on your own. But 2 calories per pound of lean body weight. So then you've got your calorie number, you got your, how much you should be drinking per hour, and whatever you're using, you ought to be able to put a pretty good plan together that's going to hit your hydration number and hit your calorie number in a very simple way of doing it. Salt. We generally, after doing this forever and talking to tons and tons and tons of people, my position on salt is that salt is super important, but the reason why salt is functionally important is because it clears your gut. It moves what's in your gut out and into your body. Salt doesn't really have a direct one-on-one relation to cramping per se, but you have to have salt. And some people function better with more salt, but it's a very small percentage. Most of the sodium tests I see all are high, and I don't think you have to replace it to 1-to-1, nor do I think that that's maybe good for a lot of people. For most athletes that we see, female athletes are generally 325 to 375 milligrams of sodium. Barbara was at 400, so she's a little bit higher than that. For most of the guys, it's generally 375 to 450 are the kind of numbers. Women are more salt sensitive than guys are. Not having rings fit is never great, and ankles are always a bad idea. So, that's over the years. Generally, we just dial the salt back for our female athletes. So that's kind of the 1040 as far as, how to carry for your Ironman race. Half is not, obviously half is relatively easier compared to a full. Nutritionally, the difference between a half and a full is like times 4. It's half Ironman distance. You can kind of fake your way through a half Ironman distance if you're in shape. can't really fake your way through a full. It just doesn't work. So, you've got 4 disciplines: swim, bike, run, and eat, or nutrition. And if you can, that without the nutrition, all the other ones are going to not work very well. Does anybody have any questions at all?
I have a question that I actually ran into one of our athletes in the grocery store parking lot today. He's getting ready to do his first fall.
Mhm.
And he was saying that he struggles to get any more than 3 of his bottles down of Infinit every day.
Mm-hmm.
Or not every day, but like during his training ride. So he's concerned about needing to consume more than that on the bike.
Well,
I said, well, why don't you call and do, schedule a one-on-one? And he said, I've
Yep.
done that. And he said it hasn't helped.
Well, I will tell you that, in training, I don't necessarily do what I do on race day. So if he's getting 300 calories down, I'm on a 4 or 5 hour bike ride. That's going to be 1,200 or, 1,000-ish calories. It's not a horrible number. If that was on a 8 hour bike ride, I'd probably go yeesh. But, yeah, I just think that, again, for me, I always lower flavor down and maybe bump up salt. And the other thing is I change flavor. And I know that sounds kind of silly and trite to say just change flavor, but it really does.
Yeah.
If just do pink lemonade or something that's got some real tart to it, something that's got some sour, I always think that's a good way to go if he's not doing that.
Okay.
Cranberry, pink lemonade, the fruit punch can tend to be probably are the sweetest of our stuff. The orange is the most neutral. Orange is like, there's a flavor there, but you're not really sure what it is. And then 3 hours in, and the way it works is that if you're running for a couple hours, and if a car passes by you smoking a cigarette, you can smell it. And so your taste perceptions completely change. And part of the issue that you run into is that as you get longer into the day, the more your taste perceptions change. And that's why we try to keep our flavors low, because just exactly for that reason is, I got a Mark Allen, which is, I'm totally bragging here, but Mark Allen sent me a text and said, your stuff tastes better at the end of a 100-mile ride than it did in the beginning. And I'm like, I'll take that all day long. So functionally, that's what we try and do. That's what we try and do.
Yeah. For the run, have you ever thought about making your product into a gummy?
Yeah. No, I mean, the one thing we are going to do is there is some interesting technology that originated out in Australia that I've been following for probably 5 years, that it's a fructose maltodextrin high carb, like 90 to 120 gram mixes. That's a lot. That's like half a cup of carbohydrate. But they're utilizing that particular mix to maximize the oxidization or the amount of calories that you're potentially absorbing by utilizing maltodextrin and fructose. It's super sweet. Only certain people could do it. I wouldn't do it unless I was racing professionally and trying to make money. But it's something that's very out there. Morton is doing that. There's a bunch of different ones that are doing it. We've been doing it. Infinit Australia has been doing it now for 2 years, and he's killing it. So we're going to bring that. It's the same. I think Super Fuel, the scratch product, is the same kind of deal.
Okay.
It's a fructose maltodextrin blend.
Yeah.
And we're going to do a 90 grams. So that's something we will, because of the market is kind of making me do it. But gummies, we just don't, we're just the company for idiots, just keep it simple.
Yeah.
No food, no gels, just like, it's really hard to screw what we do up.
Yeah. I like the idea about I've got a soft flask. So I like that idea about trying that with, on the run.
You could, have 2 or 3 of them. I mean,
Yeah.
it really, it probably would do a really nice substitute for a fuel belt.
Mhm.
I couldn't I couldn't wear a chest pack in 95 degrees. I think it'd be, hey, this is a really good idea. And mile 2 would be in the bushes is where it would be.
Mhm.
I've carried powder in my back pocket before. So just an easier way, because I do a handheld. So if I need to refill it, I've got a pack of powder. But what I'm actually considering doing for the full, the other thing I do is like you said before, doubling what I put in there. And then I just take sips longer and then fill it, like drink water at all the stops. So what I'm thinking of doing for the full is I do have a really old handheld, so I might just toss it halfway and then have another one in my, I don't know, I have to think about it.
So needs.
Yeah, and special needs, like if I'm just done carrying it anymore, have one that I don't mind getting rid of. But I have done the powder in my back pocket.
Yeah.
Well, it just depends on what kind of shorts you're wearing, right? Even you can put a gel flat. They make the shorts that are the compression shorts that have the gel flask holders. You know, again, you'd have to get used to that kind of stuff. But I think there's a lot of different ways that you can carry.
Mhm.
And then another interesting thing to talk about is caffeine. Are we caffeine people? I'm getting a lot of yeses.
Love to be caffeinated.
You are my people. So there's really interesting things happening is that we're actually going to be doing some things with companies, one of which is a DNA company where they can actually measure your ability to process caffeine efficiently. And caffeine's the only legal performance enhancer out there. And it does work for certain people, but you have to be somebody that actually processes caffeine well. Caffeine, we typically, for the folks that are that do use caffeine, about 100, 125 milligrams an hour is typically where we're dosing people. If you process caffeine well, that can give you up to 5 to 10% increase in VO2 max, which is a really significant number. But if you don't process caffeine, it's actually a net negative. It'll hurt your performance. So there's really interesting things happening. That's something that you can do with just some testing on yourself. Maybe do a 1 hour time trial in the basement. You have one with, you get a bottle of jet fuel down you, which is our caffeinated preset mix. That's awesome. If you get a bottle of that, maybe before you do your time trial, see how that works for you, and then do it without caffeine, and then see if you can see some performance difference between the two. That'll give you a little bit of indication on if caffeine works for you or not. Caffeine, they used to be at the diuretic, which it's kind of a net neutral. It's not really, it doesn't, back in the olden days, that was sort of the science.
Back when eggs were bad for you.
Yeah, I know. That's really funny. I was trying to think today. I remember when I think we were still on the gold standard. I think I'm that old. That's how you figure out how old people. Do you remember when it was the gold standard? All right. Well, cool. Any other questions at all? I mean, I love doing what you guys do. I haven't done it in a long time, but Ironman's awesome. It's very fun. So Cozumel, is that, so we have 2 at Cozumel. Where else? Anywhere?
We've got a Lake Placid and a Mont Tremblant.
The Mont Tremblant. Yes, that is the race. If I was going to go back and do another one, that would be the one. Lake Placid's a really interesting course. I found that Lake Placid really difficult. I just thought to fuel on that bike is very hard because the first part of the race is a grind up out of town and you're trying to just get your feet underneath you and you're not really interested. And then you hit that hill on the lakes that you're going like down. And then it's the death-defying 50 miles an hour for about the next 25 minutes. You're into the race and you really haven't had an opportunity to hit your bottles. And the first part of that course is tough. Then you hit the long flat section. That's the opportunity where you really have some opportunity to get some calories down you. But you can't forget about that on that first section. And then you have the out and back and then the bears. And that section's really hard too. The out and back is really hard to fuel on. And I found that course very difficult. So it's just one you have to really be super careful or just be very cognizant of making sure that you're hitting your calorie and your hydration target every single hour. It's just hard because the first half of that first third's hard, then it's a little flat, and then the last third, it's just a difficult bike course. So
That is
I did that.
especially when it's 100 degrees.
Well, I did it. I've done it. I did it 4 times, and I did it we got 7 inches of rain, I think, one year. That was a ball.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
Yeah. And then, but it's a spectacular venue. It's such a great place. I really love that race. Any other stuff I can hit you guys with? When's the sale? When's your guys' sale?
Next Wednesday.
Excellent.
What about recovery?
Yeah, I was going to say
recovery products.
Yeah. That, and don't, if you're going to do a 50% off sale, the best deal you're going to find on our website is going to be our recovery stuff, because our recovery stuff is like premium. It's really good. I buy everything like I'm going to use it, and everything that we've got is top shelf. If there's a better protein out there, I'd buy it, but we don't. We don't scrimp. So the stuff that we put out there is premium. The protein products at 50% off are a bargain, so I would do that one. We have the custom protein side. If you do schedule a consult, they'll do the custom protein for you. There's not a huge price difference between our regular repair formulas. We have chocolate and vanilla. We also have another one called Nocturne. Nocturne has tryptophan in it. That's the stuff that has that was in Turkey that makes you all fall asleep during the Detroit Lions game. You like the Lions? Did you see that little Lions reference? That was good. Yeah. So it has tryptophan. We get pretty cranked up after long workouts, and sometimes it can be hard to sleep. And Nocturne is made to knock you out. It really, it's like melatonin. It just really can make you sleep like a rock. But the custom protein is fantastic. We have great plant-based options as well. Our vegan is a combination of fava and brown rice proteins. It's a full amino profile, and is relatively good tasting for a plant protein. It's fantastic tasting. But people really like it a lot. So we have that in our Go Far endurance drink, a vegan option, and in our recovery drinks on the custom side, you can do plant-based protein, and then you can add a bunch of other stuff too. So the protein for the 50% off, that's a killer deal. So if you did a bottle or a bag of hydration and then a bag of recovery, that's a nice package.
Nice. Michael, can you talk a little bit about instead of Java, what's the new what's the new, what it's called?
Cold brew?
Thank you.
Yeah, cold brew. So cold brew is it's a true cold brew, powdered cold brew coffee that has 20 grams of protein, less than 10 grams of sugar, 100 milligrams of caffeine, and you mix it with water, and it's delicious. I think it's really, really good. So that's I'm going out for a ride. I don't have time to eat, and I'm not going to do a peanut butter and bagel. So get cold brew. I got my caffeine. I got 20 grams of protein. It's delicious. And then I'm on my way out for my bike ride, and my belly's happy. It works great for recovery. So if you have a cold bottle sitting in your bag, when you get done, hit that. That's your 20 grams of protein that I was talking about before. And you got your recovery right there along with your caffeine, since we're all caffeine people. And then also, if I'm just busy on my way to the office and I don't have time to eat, cold brew is great just as a kind of a snack mid-morning as well. So it's a fantastic product. The Javi is the one that's mixed with any kind of milk. Great for that as well. It's more delicious. The cold brew is very coffee forward. It's for a coffee person. It's really good. But
And I'm
thank you,
glad
Russ.
you explained how to use
Yeah.
that because I didn't know
Yeah,
what to
thanks.
do with it.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome. It's just one of those. It's a great product, and if you throw it in a smoothie, it's fantastic as well. So it's all good.
So what would I use, Michael, if I'm going to go swim in the morning?
Mhm.
Say a 3,000 workout. Get up at 5, hit the pool by 5:30. What would you suggest drinking or eat or putting in a smoothie?
Yeah, I mean, a cold brew before you hit the pool is, bang, you're in the pool, have a bottle of something next to probably your run mix, traditionally with bike mixes are high calorie, higher electrolyte with some protein in it. And we use protein as a functional so you don't get hungry. That's the whole reason why we put protein in things. It enables you to go long times. Christian, what was the one guy? How long did he it was a gravel racer. What did he do?
His name's Caleb Sperberry, and he rode for 500 miles on his bike for over 30 hours and used nothing but Infinit.
And this was a race, right?
Wow.
Yeah, he got second overall.
And he's crazy. So that's not even the longest one I've heard of. There was a 44-hour one that I heard of too. So protein just allows you to do that. If like the sugar drinks, I'm going to chew my arm off after about 3 hours. It's not going to work. So for the pool deck, if it was me, I'd have my run mix on the pool deck. It's a little lighter calories, no protein is what I use generally on the run. And if, for the pool, it just depends. I'd probably put 1 scoop in a bottle as opposed to 2, just to keep it light. Then you just got a light hydrating drink next to you on the pool deck. You don't need a pile of calories when you're doing sets.
So let's say I've got a big training weekend.
Mhm.
So I'm going to go swim at the lake on Saturday morning, and then I'm going to go hop on my bike and we'll say anywhere 4 to 5 hours. What's the suggestion of is there too much protein you could take into your body?
No. And I don't think it's a problem getting a recovery down after your swim before you're heading on your bike too. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Caleb, the guy that he was talking about, I think he would have drank about 34, 35 bottles of stuff over that time period. About a quarter to a third of that was recoveries. So he was drinking recovery drinks while he was doing that to get extra protein. So I don't think that as long as your belly's okay with it and you don't have any issues with, most people even have lactose intolerance, don't have our problems with our stuff. But as long as you don't have problems, I don't think there's a huge problem to getting 20 grams of protein after swim. Keep hydrating, go out on your bike, just make sure you stay on top of your hydration number, your drinking target, and your calorie target when you're out there. And then when you get done with your bike, make sure that you're getting some good quality calories after that specifically, so you're going to recover better.
Michael, I was going to tell you that former bike shop owner of Alfred E. Bike, he introduced me to Infinite Jet Fuel like either 2008 or 2009, and that's all I've used now for sprint and Olympic distance races. So, yeah, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah, it's
And
for
he
short course.
crushes things. He's a beast.
I
Aren't you,
love it.
Terry?
That's great. No, jet fuel, it's a great it's one of our first 3 formulas that we ever came up with. So yeah, that one's been great. And that for me, that's a run mix too. That's a short course tri mix, Olympic,
Right.
go hard, heart rate high, and also for running. So if I'm jumping in a half marathon, whatever, that would be the one I'd be drinking.
Yeah.
What were you
Sorry
saying?
sorry that I got to join here so late, but I did have a question. I recently got diagnosed with a esophageal problem. I've got like an acid reflux thing going on, and I have to avoid acidic types of things. So I'm going to be looking this. I've used GoFar. I really like it, but I need to avoid things that have like citric acid and so forth.
Huh?
So, and I do like chocolate. Is there something that you would recommend that would be pretty pH neutral or less acidic?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Andy, if you could schedule a consult with one of my guys and we'll take care of it. We have another product line, which is Infinite Wellness, which is working with people that are critically ill people, actually, not triathletes. You know, we're generally a healthy group, but these are people that have flavor sensitivities because of stuff that they're having to go through, mouth issues, mouth sores, and we can do stuff for that. So yeah, if you could contact my guys, I definitely think we can help you out. Thanks. Yep. Anything else? All right, cool. Well, my wife, I think, is doing it's Taco Monday. So that's what's super exciting in my household.
Well, thank you for your time tonight. We appreciate it.
It was really fun.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. And I hope to see all you guys out. I'm building a gravel bike as we speak, so I might be out racing. And I know if I am, I'm going to be up in your direction. So hopefully I'll see you guys at the races.
Yeah, thank you. And Michael, love your products, but this is always the hands-on that you guys have always given us. It's been phenomenal. So appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun. Good luck at your Ironman races.
We
Thank
just
you.
missed.
Thank
Michael,
Thanks for organizing the question.
All right.
Thanks, Christian.
See you guys.
Yeah.
I